saying that it's be appropriate to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning. I've known him for many, many years, and he has been my role model, my leader. Ano he punkaua, he koa vivo ole. He has talked the talk and walked the walk. He is a combat veteran, long life haumana of martial arts, olohe lua. At the same time, nana e holo e ke ala imi na awau. He has traveled the path of education and enlightenment. He has attained his education in law and as a former judge, currently a trustee for the Queen Lilio Kalani Trust. Nor laila, mai ka iewe o na hono api ilani, o na mamo ali'i, o lono honua kini, o kalani kaumaka o wākea, o ka uhia kama, o kaulala walu, e hoa launa ako ia au kou. I keia kanaka hiva no hoi. From the descendants of great chiefs of Maui a Pi'ilani, lono honua kini, kalani kaumaka o wākea, o ka uhia kama, o kamalala walu. I introduce you, and please welcome Tames Ka'owai Kaulukukui Jr.
Aloha nui kākou. My greetings to all. All respect and love and aloha to Kia Koa Manaloa Onolani, the great spirit of the heavens who watches over us and guides us and protects us from all the directions from which the winds blow. He who has brought us here safely, may he bring you home also in the same safety. Also, all honor and respect to Na'aumakua of the night and of the day. Honor to our land and our sea and our sky, to all of the chiefs, Na Kumu Ali, Lala Ali, Na Bela Ali, Apaue, the descendants of chiefs, the branches, to our kupuna who have passed on, who now sleep the long summers and winters too, and who wait for us on the other side, to our kupuna, who are elders who yet live to guide us with their wisdom, to all of the organizers of this AHA conference, to the kohuna and the olohe and the kumu of the various professions, na oihana apau, and to all of you who have taken the time to attend, my greetings to you all, also to all others who may be here within sound of my voice, whether you hail from the east, where the sun rises at Tahiti Ku, or from the west, where the sun sets at Tahiti Moe. My greetings to you all. It is my honor to be invited here today and to say a few words to you about leadership. First of all, to Umi, I'm not wearing my name tag. I give many speeches. I find out if you're a speaker and you wear something in the middle and people don't like you speak, it's like a bullseye. They aim for it, so I took it off. The topic I've been asked to speak on relates to Hawaiian Kane and leadership, and specifically on mentoring future leaders for Hawaii's generations. So there are two issues that are raised by this subject. First, the topic of Hawaiian Kane leadership, and second, the topic of mentoring or teaching our people for future leaders. So I'll speak briefly of both. My father, Thomas Kaulukukui Sr., who's now 93 years old, was my model. He was a great teacher, and he was a great speaker. And one of the things he taught me about speaking was this. He said there's two kinds of speeches. The first speech he called the mu'umu speech. It's broad, it's expansive, it covers everything, but really touches upon nothing important. The second speech, he says, is the bikini speech. It covers the bare essentials and touches on the high points. So this morning, I give you the bikini speech. When we deal with the issue, first of all, of leadership, I want to share with you my mana'o on what leadership is and some of the important characteristics. And these characteristics and definitions span time. We are human beings, and leadership has not changed over centuries and eons. So for me, the basic first, leadership has three elements. Leadership is influence. I say it, let you say it. Leadership is influence. I'm a son of a teacher. 8 uncles, they're all teachers. 35 first cousins, they're all teachers. So you have to excuse me. This is the way I speak. There's interaction. I'm a coach. So one of the things I learned from my father and my uncles is, if people are going to learn, they got to have some action. So leadership is influence. Leadership is influence. Yeah. Second thing about leadership. Leadership involves influencing ourselves and others. Say that. Leadership involves influencing ourselves and others. And the third thing about leadership is this. Good leaders do the right thing in the right way at the right time. So good leaders do what? The right thing in the right way at the right time. Leadership is influence. Leadership involves influencing ourselves and others. And good leaders do the right thing in the right way at the right time. Now, I listened to Likeke Paglinawan, Olohe Paglinawan last night to talk about the things that have happened to us as Hawaiian males that have resulted in a virtual emasculation of the Hawaiian male in terms of roles. The changes in society, the abolishment of the ai kapu, all of those things have not helped us over the years. Colonization really takes 3 forms if you're going to colonize a people. You must first disarm the warriors. Secondly, you must defrock the priests and change the religion to undermine the spirituality. And thirdly, you must destroy or eliminate the language. All of those things happened to us, and it changed our roles. And so we have to regain for ourselves the things which are important for us, which will provide foundation for our leadership. They're the 3 Ks to me. K. First, kanaka mauli or kanaka maakua. We must become, in every sense, kanaka maakua. Native men who are adult, grown up in every way, physically, spiritually, intellectually, in every way we can, we must be kanaka maakua. The second thing, which Likeke Paglinawan talked about last night, is kuleana. We must carry our responsibility to our fellow man, to nature, and to God. And the third K for me is kupono. We must have a code of conduct, a sense of morality, ethics. We have to stand up for it, and we have to live it. Now, one of the difficulties we have is with all of the things that have happened to us as Hawaiian men, I think some of us, certainly none here, but some of us have lost sight of the difference between being a kane, which is a male, that is, male of any species, and a kanaka, which is a man, a human being. And our elders have said to us in the Olelo no Eao, e ho'o kanaka. They didn't say e ho'o kane, they said e ho'o kanaka, which means be a man, be a real man, act like a real man. And for us, I think for some of us, we forgot the difference. Male animals are driven by 3 primary drives and engage in 3 activities. And I call them the 3 Fs. The 3 Fs of the kane, of the male animal. The first F, I'll spell it this way, F-A-R-K, fark. The first primary drive of the male animal is to have sex for procreation or for pleasure. All male animals do that. That's a drive. Nature put it in us. The second F is fight. All male animals do that. Kane animals fight. They fight for domination. They fight for status. They fight for pleasure sometimes. And the third F is feed. And male animals, generally, the animal species, who do they feed? They feed themselves. The lioness goes out, kills the buffalo. The male animal shows up later on, pushes everybody else out of the way, and eats. He feeds himself. That's what the male animal does. But that's not what our ancestors meant when they said eho kanaka. They meant act like a man, which is different than the animal. Okay? What's the difference? Well, that first F, fark, becomes fatherhood. Responsibility to family, to your woman, to your children, to your community. Fatherhood. The second F, which was fight, becomes fend or defend. It's defensive. It is to protect and defend the family, yourself, your nation, not for ego. And the third F for feed becomes not to feed yourself, but to feed others. Not only the food of life, but the food of knowledge, to share your knowledge with them. So that's the transformation. We need to ho'o kanaka, become kanaka mahakua, to carry our kuleana, and to kupono. And through that, those activities change from the kane to a kanaka. And when we do that, we fulfill our mandate from our ancestors to ho'o kanaka. That's the basic, before we even go to what makes a good leader. And let me touch upon that now, assuming that we know the path we have to take from kane to kanaka. What do I think, in my opinion, my manao, as to the characteristics, some of the best characteristics of leadership that we have to pass on, especially to our young people? They are the 5 C's of leadership. You know, when I give this after the talk, everybody wants to add a C or 2. Yeah? If you want to come talk to me and tell you got 5 more C's you want to add, that's fine. But I have my 5 because they're easy to remember. The first C is character. Character. Pono is the Hawaiian word that goes with that. Character, which means values, ethics, morality, a sense of what is proper and just in accordance with God, nature, and our community. The first C is, and a Hawaiian word that goes with that is, second C is courage. Koa is the Hawaiian word I use for that. Courage. It's bravery. It's a willingness to take risks as our ancestors did. And courage is a valued attribute and one of the highest attributes, because if you lack courage, you cannot do anything else. If you have the attribute of honesty, but you're afraid because something bad may happen to you if you're honest, you're not going to be honest because you lack courage. So the second C is courage. And our Hawaiian word is koa. So we have character and courage. The third C is commitment. Commitment means loyalty. It's commitment to a nation. It's commitment to people. It's commitment to land. It's commitment to ideas. It's commitment to ideals. And the word for that is kupa'a. So the third C is, and the Hawaiian word is kupa'a. We have character, we have courage. By the way, there's going to be a test after this. We have character, we have courage, we have commitment. The fourth C is competency. Competency. You can have all the other things, but if you're lousy at what you're supposed to be doing, nobody's going to follow you. And our ancestors who put their mind to be good at something were excellent. Competency, and the word for that is makaukau. Competency. Makaukau. Which means able, capable, proficient, skilled, expert, adept. That's what makaukau means, and that's competency. So we have character, courage, commitment, competency, and the fifth C for leadership is compatibility. Compatibility talks about our ability to have aloha for people, and so the word for that is aloha. Compatibility. Compatibility. And the word for that is, okay, here's the test. The first C is pono. Give me the Hawaiian word for it. First C is, second C is, third C is, kupa. Third C is commitment, kupa. Commitment, kupa. The third C is kupa. Fourth C is competency, makaukau. And the fifth C is compatibility, aloha. Right? That's the foundation to me. At least in my opinion, those are the foundations of leadership that we need to pass on. So now let's talk about passing it on. Let's talk about teaching and mentoring future leaders. And here are some thoughts I want to share with you. First of all, with regard to students, teach all who have the potential to learn. Teach all who have the potential to learn, because there's some hidden gems in there. There's some you look at when they first come in and you say, they ain't gonna make it, and they turn out to be your best because they work hard at it. But there is a corollary to that. Mentoring, which talks about a special, close, long-term relationship. I say to you, mentor those who have the potential to teach. Teach all who have the potential to learn, but mentor those, spend special time with those who have the potential to teach. My father taught me that you should teach for two reasons. One, so that your student learns the skill or the thing you want them to learn. Two, you should be skilled enough, if you're a good teacher, to teach them the process by which they can teach others. Two things when you teach. One, so your students learn the skill, and secondly, so they'll learn the process of teaching it. A second thing that I think is very, very important in terms of passing on knowledge, or it's a third by now, is to find a special place in which to teach. It does not have to be someplace expensive. You don't have to own it. All you have to do is have a protocol to dedicate it for the particular kind of teaching and learning that you want to have, so that you can have your own protocols for that place, so that your students can have common experience in a way that in the future they can relate to the place as a special place of learning. Next, I think we must develop our own curriculum based upon our traditional principles and values, but use methods, if we have to, that are relevant to this world. Can you imagine if somehow the civilization was wiped out and people came down and they tried to learn about our civilization, and all they could find was a plastic record and a phonograph player, and the record had a scratch on it, and they wanted to learn the traditional songs of the Hawaiian people, and they put it on and got some electricity, and the thing started playing like kilo kilo, kilo kilo, kilo kilo. The song is kilo kilo, hale akala, but there's a scratch on the record, so it goes kilo kilo, kilo kilo, kilo kilo. If they went and they copied what they thought was a traditional way of singing, you'd have a very strange song. And what I see sometimes in our teaching here, for all of us, is we are following things because we think it's traditional that have no relevance to today. The values may have relevance for today, the spirit may have relevance for today, but the actual thing we're doing don't have relevance for today. So we have to think about that when we make our curriculum. Make sure we keep our traditional principles and our values, but look at our methods sometimes to make sure that what we are teaching for our students will help them in today's world. Another thing that I think is important is write things down. People keep telling me, Tom, we're an oral culture. Yeah, we were an oral culture before they invented pens. But when they invented pens, our kupuno started writing things down. Write them down. Write down your lesson, write down your theories, write down your thoughts so they can be passed on. Because when the flowers on the kukui tree turn white like this, you're going to forget. You're going to forget. And just think, if 500 years ago, our ancestors had pen, they had computer, our knowledge would be vast today about what they did then. So write it down. One of the most important things, and I want to end really on this point for us to think about when we mentor and we pass things on, is we have to try, it's our challenge as elders and as teachers and as makua, to figure out what is the principle behind the thing that we're doing. What is the principle, concept, the big picture behind the thing that we are doing. Right? My father was particularly good at this. One day I was sitting down with him when I was 9 or 10 years old. This is before computers, before anything. He's a football coach. He'd get the red checkers and the black checkers, and he'd glue a cork on the top for a handle. Then I'd watch him for hours. He'd line them up in football formations, and the red checker guard would pull out and block the black defensive checker end. And there would be a checker double team on the nose guard. And he'd move all these things around so you could see what it was. And the next thing he did was he sat down and he wrote it down. But the third thing he did is when he found something that was a general principle or concept, he would go to his old Underwood typewriter and he'd type out something in writing that was a concept. And it was from him, I became a high school football coach, it's from him that I learned the concept, for example, of playing defense on football. Do you know that if the offense put 7 men on the line to block and have 4 men in the backfield, that you need 15 defensive players to defend that field properly? I said, Dad, come on. You're only allowed to put 11. He says, I know that. I've been coaching 30 years. But you know, here's the principle. The principle is, when you line up the offense and you count all the holes that they can run through and run around, and the 7 pass zones that you have to cover, you need 15 men. I said, Dad, who taught you that? He said, I just thought about it for 30 years, and I figured out you need 15 men. I said, but Dad, you only have 11. He said, yeah, but if you understand the principle, then you understand that if you play defensive football, you must design your defense so that people can cover more than one hole. That's why you have linebackers, right? More than one hole. And then B, you got to hide from the offense where your weaknesses are. Because you cannot cover everything. Because if they figure out which hole you're not covering or which pass zone you're not covering, and they figure out what defense you're in, and those 11 guys on offense happen to do the right thing on that play, you're down 6 points. If they make the conversion, you're down 7. I said, well, and then I thought about that later. You see, the man had an ability to do the technique. He knew that you should write it down so he could pass it on because he was making coaches, and he made great coaches. But he knew beyond that the function of teachers is not just to teach the technique, but to figure out the concept, to figure out the bigger principle so that your students can pass that principle on and staying within that principle, have the freedom to create their own technique. That's a good thought from a very good teacher and a very good coach. And I want to leave that last thought with you because our kuleana is to teach, all of us who have the Makua generation. And so let me finish with something that I hope will illustrate to you that kuleana. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was at home, and there was a knock on my door. And my wife was in the kitchen and said, can you, Tom, go see who's at the door? It was a Saturday. I was watching TV. So I went to the door, and there were 2 young girls with Kaneohe Bobby Sox shirt on, and they were selling cookies. Now, let me stop at this point and tell you that when you fast forward to the end of this story, the girls are going down my driveway, and my wife is standing next to me saying to me, why don't you just buy the darn cookies like everybody else? Okay? That's the end of the story. Okay, rewind, go back up. So the 2 girls are standing in front of me, and they had the cookies. So I asked, I said, yes, what do you want? She said, you like my cookies? I said, how much are those cookies? They said, $2 one bag. I said, okay. I said, well, wait, before I buy cookies, I have a question for you. Yeah. I look at your shirt. You're from Kaneohe, right? They said, yeah. I said, I hate to tell you this, but this is Kailua. Why should I spend my hard-earned money living in Kailua, buy Kaneohe cookies? Well, these 2 young girls who are 14 or 15 years old look at me and they're thunderstruck. They have no answer for me. Apparently, no one has asked them this threshold, jurisdictional question. So they're standing there looking at me, holding their bag of cookies, and I say, I live in Kailua. I buy Kailua cookies. I don't buy Kaneohe cookies. So I said, why are you selling cookies? They said, well, we're going to California. I said, for what? Get tournament. I said, get tournament. Who else is going from Hawaii? They tell me nobody. I said, only you guys. Yeah. You're representing Kaneohe? Yeah. But you're representing Hawaii too, right? Yeah. Everybody in Hawaii, right? Right. Kailua is in Hawaii, right? Right. I said, okay, let me ask you the question again. Why should I, who live in Kailua, buy kaneohe cookies? Well, they look at each other, and the older girl says, because we represent in Hawaii, you know. I said, good answer. Good answer. So, how much are those cookies? Oh, $2 one bag. Oh, still $2. Yeah, still $2. Yeah. So then I get ready to pay for the cookies. Then I say, oh, wait. I got another question for you. Well, I said, you guys good or what? Because $2 is a lot of money to spend on a bunch of plugs going to go up there and get their butt kicked. Especially if they represent all of Hawaii, including Kailua. Well, they look at each other. They're good local girls. They're not supposed to brag, so they have no answer for me. So I say to them, how did you get to go? Well, us guys win our league. You guys are champions? Yeah. Champions of your league? Yeah. Well, if you're champions, you got to be good. I said, so I'll ask you again. You guys good or what? Well, they look at each other, and finally they say, the light goes on. Yeah, we're pretty good. We're champs. I said, you going up there kick butt? Yeah, we're going up there kick butt. I said, good for you. I said, so my wallet comes out. I'm ready to buy the cookies. Oh, I said, wait. I got one more question for you. Now, these are teenage girls, so they go like this. Oh, man. But there's a smile on the face because you know what? Now they smell blood. They know this is not a $2 transaction. If Uncle is investing this much in us, this is not a $2 transaction. Okay? So I asked him, I said, one more question for you. This is the key question. The cookies taste good or what? Because I'm not spending my hard-earned money on cookies that are lousy. Well, you know what? No prompting this time. Both girls going like this. Hey, this cookie is good, you know. I said, how you know? They said, we went to taste them already, that's why. Right? Now, we all speak the language, right? That's the past tense of the verb to taste. Tasting is the present tense. When taste them already, that's the past tense. Going to taste them bambai, that's the future tense. Okay? And fortunately, I'm fluent in the language. So I said, so they said, we went to taste them already, and my auntie would make them, and these cookies taste good, you know. I said, okay, you answer all my questions now. Out come the wallet, $10 bill, give me 5 bags of cookies. Okay, they get the cookie, they turn around, they're going down the driveway. My wife is standing next to me saying, why don't you just buy the darn cookies like everybody else? You know? And then she says, they're not coming back here. You know, that's the last you're going to see of them after you put them all through that. I said, honey, you know what? I beg to differ with you. We better hope they don't win the league next year because when Auntie drops them off, you know where they're going to drop them off? Right down at the bottom of our driveway. First stop. Okay? And look, they're going over to Sean's house, my neighbor. And poor Sean is not going to know what hit him. This is Sean, what Sean going to hear. Yes, you like buy cookies. Us guys some kind of way, you know, but we're going to the mainland and we're going to play in a tournament in California. And, you know, we're the only team from Hawaii. We're going to represent Hawaii, you know. And you know what else? Us guys, the champions of our league, you know. And us guys good, you know. We're going to go up there. We're going to go up there and we're going to kick butt, you know. And you know these cookies, these are bestest cookies you will ever taste. And your neighbor, he will go buy 5 bags. You like buy 5 bags too? Now, the story is not about cookies. The story is about opio. The point is, all of us have opportunity to teach something to somebody. Sometimes God sends them to your front door. Sometimes you meet them in a market. Sometimes they're in your class. Maybe they're here at this AHA and you don't even know them. But we all have some knowledge to pass on. And it's our kuleana. It's our responsibility to teach. And when those opportunities arise, we must take it. Because when we do, We'll be true to the leadership teaching that we need to have for our people, and for our young ones especially as they move forward. We'll be fulfilling our responsibility to teach and mentor future leaders for the benefit of all of our community, not just the Hawaiian community. And when we do that, we'll be true to the teachings and to the values of the kupuna who taught us, those who are here and those who are not here. We'll be standing firmly behind our land, and we'll be loved, honored, cherished, protected, supported by He who dwells in the heavens, He who is greater than us all. Aloha.